Hello everybody. I'm going to show you guys how to make a grid today. You may already know, but I figure a demonstration can't hurt. For your project, hopefully by now you will have chosen a piece of artwork that you really like, a painting of course, and you're going to put a grid on it. Now, I use Photoshop to do mine, 1-inch grid. My image is 10 by 12, but 12 and, well, excuse me, 10 by 13. And I'm choosing this beautiful painting by Artemisia Gentileschi. It's Judith and her servant. Actually, I don't know if servant is the actual title, but it's a biblical story. I'm a huge fan of Artemisia Gentileschi, and I really wanted something with a lot of dark colors. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this on Zoom today. But, so, I took a piece of Bristol, I cut it in half because it has to be that 10 by 13 inches, and I'm going to put a grid on it. So I'm actually a quilter. Well, not a quilter. I sew. So I have. Let me move this back a little. So I'm going to use a sewing ruler. I actually think it's easier for you to see, but you can use anything you have at home. One of the things is I'm going to check the size first. Make sure that some of the rulers that you start right at the first mark and not here at the edge. This is so your ruler can get beat up and it won't affect the actual measuring. You can see right here, I've had this for a really long time. It's gotten a bit beat up. So it's a little backwards. Let me flip it so I can see the numbers better. This is 11 inches this way, and I'm sure we have 13 inches this way. We are good. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put on at least a 1/2 inch, maybe a 1-inch border all the way around. Okay? Same thing why we put a border on a ruler. We want a border on our paper so if something happens to it. So I'm going to, actually I know that this line is a 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to save myself some trouble. Line it up. You could just measure a 1/2 inch. I'm at least going to start the first corner because this is where I'll start my measurements from. All right, so I'm going to make 1-inch squares, and I'm actually going to flip to the side that doesn't have the border here. Focus that for you. Move this up a bit. And because mine's going backwards, I'm going to make sure I get my 10 inches. So I'm going to put my 10 here and my 1 inch here. And you just want to make a mark. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm actually going to go over here. I should have made the marker on the top, and I forgot. Let me, the marker for the border. Let me draw that really briefly. And I made sure that I cut my paper square so that I could do that. And then I'm going to do the same marks on here. And you want to make sure that they are lined up really well, or else you're going to get diagonal lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. One thing, I'm using a pretty light pencil. I'm using a 3H, and that is very helpful because you don't want a heavy line. H pencils will give you a lighter mark even if you're heavy-handed. Then what I'm going to do is connect those lines. Again, make sure you don't go diagonal. Wait, I'm actually supposed to go 13 on this side. No wonder it was looking a little funky. I'm used to doing 8 by 10, that's why. Let me just add those extra 3 inches so I don't mess anything up. 1, 2, 3. And also notice when I'm going to measure the other side, I don't just flip the ruler around. I slide it up. Again, so that I make sure everything's even. Also trying to make sure that this is on camera for you. 1, 2, 3. And now I draw the extra lines. One. This is when I wish I knew photo editing so I could speed through something for you. But that's all right. Notice I'm not like doing a death grip on the pencil. I tend to hold it a little further back. I'm not like up here like this. And that's just so you can make that nice, light, clean line. The shadows from my window are pretty cool right now. Maybe let me pull my curtain back so it's not quite, it didn't do anything. Okay. Just happens to be my window, I guess. I do have my overhead kitchen light on too, so. It's important to take your time with this. So this could be something that people want to rush, and that's a big mistake because you're going to end up messing something up if you do that, right? Like maybe this line is slightly off. Then your squares are not going to look like squares. And you want to be super mindful about that. Okay. So now I've got my 13 lines. Hopefully you can see that. Block the window, it'll show you. And now you want to make the other lines on here. So my sewing machine is like right out of view here, but flip it over so I can make sure that I've got the, oh, it's 10 inches exactly, which is perfect. So I did do that, 1/2 inch was the perfect measurement. This, I happen to cut my paper ahead of time. If you just so it would fit on the page. If you want to, you know, have a full inch border, measure your piece, and then cut it down, absolutely do that. Actually, I did that wrong. Did what I told you guys not to do. And now I'm going to draw those lines again. One thing that helps when I'm doing this, by the way, is, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm actually standing while I'm making my grid here. I just like that it gives me a little more leverage on the ruler so that it doesn't slide. You know, like my body is over here to the left, so like if I was to do it like this, the ruler would hit my body. Some of these simple things, turning it so that you have natural movement. When I write, I actually write with the paper more sideways than I do straight because of my hand movement. Like all these things can be super helpful. And if you're making a grid and you're like, okay, Lindsay, well, 1 inch is a little too big for my design. Could I do a 1/2 inch? Yeah. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 1/2 inch. But you're more than welcome to do that. And I'll explain that in the project directions. Again, notice I'm always, let me turn this a little bit, always putting pressure with my hand on the ruler so that it doesn't slide. And there we go. So now I've got, if I pull this up and block the window, I've got my grid, right? It's light on the paper so that it disappears when I'm painting. And I've got a border so that I can tape it down to my workspace right here. So that the paper doesn't ripple. I've got extra here. That's fine. You trim it off later, no big deal. Okay? I'm going to work on getting other demos up for you. I will see you soon. Bye.